So good morning and welcome to Kiwanis Cafe. This is Sue Peterson from the Michigan District of Kiwanis. It is Saturday, May 15th, and we're very excited to have today with us Bryce from the Kiwanis International Member Services Office. Bryce is the manager of the office and has been with this team in various positions since he started with the organization in 2002. Bryce is committed to supporting members and club leaders in an effort to impact their communities in the name of Kiwanis. And he currently serves as club treasurer of the home club, his home club, which is the Kiwanis Club of It's 5 o'clock somewhere in Indianapolis. So very active member as his team is involved in well. And he engages in his community through his local church. Bobby and his wife, Bryce and his wife, Bobby, I'll get it right. Bryce and his wife, Bobby, have one college-aged daughter. So Bryce, on behalf of everyone with Kiwanis International, we want to thank you for joining us this morning. And here is your opportunity to share what member services, who member services are, and what they offer to our Kiwanis membership. So Bryce, take it away.
I appreciate it, Sue. Thanks very much. I appreciate everybody taking time to join us today. I really feel fortunate that you've invited me to talk with you and kind of let you know what member services can do for you. As Sue said, I've been with the organization almost 20 years. And in that time, I've always been in member services. I started out as a member services representative, and through attrition have just kind of outlasted folks as they've retired. And so I've been fortunate to move into supervisory and then managerial positions within the department itself. And so I manage a team now of 6 member service representatives, our charter, our club processing representative, Renee Booker, which I know many of you have worked with in the past when you're opening clubs, and then our receptionist within the office position that is within our team as well. And so all of those positions are really very member facing. I would say I don't think it's a stretch to say within the Kiwanis staff team, the member services is probably one of, if not the most member facing departments within the group. And so we take that as a very important and high responsibility. Our mission is to assist club members and club leaders and district leaders to do the work of Kiwanis. There's a lot of meat and potatoes, nuts and bolts kind of things that Kiwanis clubs and districts have to do as part of their Kiwanis experience. And we're here to try to lighten that load a little bit. So having said that, I kind of wanted to start off with a saying from this handsome gentleman here. No one is useless in the world who lightens the burdens of another. And so if you don't know who that individual is, it's Charles Dickens. And so I look at that saying, and that really compels me and resonates with me, because I agree. I think if nothing else, if us and member services can do something to lighten the burden or to bear the yoke of Kiwanis volunteers out in the area so that they can do what the Kiwanis mission is, which is service within their communities and leadership. If we can do that, then that's really us fulfilling our role as part of that. And so we take that again very seriously, and we want to make sure that that's the case. Kiwanis International is not just made up of individuals that are kind of within an ivory tower. I know that that's sometimes the viewpoint of staff, but the staff is made up of individuals that are members and they're passionate about supporting Kiwanis just like you. Our staff, I would say probably 90% of staff are members of a Kiwanis club. So they're not only involved in Kiwanis from an employment standpoint, but then they have a club experience and sometimes leader experiences as well. As Sue mentioned, I'm a treasurer in our club, done that for 3 or 4 years. Some of our staff are club secretaries, club presidents. We have individuals that have served as lieutenant governors. And so, we feel like not only does that help us to better relate to our members and also to know to kind of be able to walk in their footsteps, but also we hope that it gets across the point that Kiwanis isn't just a job for us. It's not just a 9-to-5 job. This is an organization that has a mission over and above, and we're engaged with that. That really resonates with us, and so Kiwanis is something that we're passionate about, and helping you is what we're passionate about as well. And so if we're not helping you, we're not really fulfilling the role of your support team as part of that. Kind of wanted to take some opportunity today to talk about what Kiwanis International and specifically member services can help you with. Again, we kind of talked about that nuts and bolts aspect of what you do within your clubs and districts, and member services can be a support, a resource for you as part of that. And so when I think about what we can do for you, I've kind of sectioned them off into three areas. We can help you find, or we can help provide resources to you. Those are important. Obviously, when clubs are doing service, or they're leading or having club interaction, they're going to need certain things, and we can help provide those. Supplies, obviously, if any of you have been in Kiwanis for any amount of time, I'm sure you know how important tchotchkes and awards and club materials and pins and things like that are important within the Kiwanis experience, and so we can help provide you those as well. And then probably most important, and probably what we'll spend most of our time on today, is information. So much information is available and is needed by clubs, and to the point where sometimes it can be difficult to find that information. And our staff is tasked with helping provide that. We talk a little bit about member services, and it's kind of its reason for being. What it was prior to probably around 2000 or so, it was the fact that if you called into the Kiwanis International office, a lot of times you would have to call different departments to get certain things. Obviously, a lot of us wear different hats within our Kiwanis groups, and so you might be calling for several different reasons. And before, a lot of times you would have to kind of bounce around from department to department. Well, in the early 2000s, it was decided by the organization to create a department called Member Services that served kind of as a one-stop shopping place, so that you could start out with a team, and probably more often than not, you could just work with that team and get what you might need, or get questions answered as part of that. They might have to go and get information from another source within the department or within the building, but at least you weren't having to kind of bounce around from place to place. And so that's carried on all through this time. That's kind of the MO that we use within member services. Our staff and member services probably shares about 100 years, 120 maybe, of experience within the organization as part of that. Now, obviously, that doesn't compare to the experience that you have out. We have a lot of 30 and 40-year members, and even above that. But we've been in member services, and we've kind of dealt with things long enough to kind of have a good grasp on a lot of general information within the organization. So many times, I'd say more often than not, if you call member services with a specific question, we're either going to be able to answer it for you, or we'll be able to get you the information, or get you to the person that has that information, so that you can successfully get the question answered. And so that's really what we're tasked with doing, is kind of having a general knowledge of the organization, whether it be details about a program, or deadlines, or kind of how you do things, or certain tasks. We have a kind of a breadth of knowledge as part of that. And so I feel fortunate for the staff that we have in member services. They're all individuals that have really put time into learning kind of a lot of aspects of the organization itself. And so we hope that you will find that as a valuable resource as what you do. So Starting off with resources, resources can be lots of different things. Maybe it's print material that you need. We have lots of different marketing materials that we can help you obtain, whether it be personalized club brochures or invitations, whether it be data. If you need to find data for your club, you're trying to make some strategic decisions and you want to know some data information, we can help you obtain that information as part of it. So resources can be a lot of different things. But again, we're here to kind of support you in that and help you find what's available and how to locate it as part of that. So talked about the supplies. And again, that is a kind of a mainstay of Kiwanis life. Obviously officer pins and attendance tabs and apparel and club project supplies and things like that. If you need to order those items or you need to procure those items for your club, if you call in to the Kiwanis International office, let's say you don't feel comfortable placing an order through the website or you have questions about items, member services is going to help you with that rather than calling and you're getting some kind of, independent call center that really doesn't have experience with Kiwanis or doesn't have a historic outlook on the organization. You're calling individuals that talk with club secretaries and district officers every single day, and so we have an understanding of that. We know items that we've had over the years, kind of what traditional items are, those legacy items that we all use as part of our club life. And so if you need help with a store order, we can certainly help you with that. That's part of what we triage for you. I hope that you'll have noticed that the Kiwanis Family Store experience has improved over the last almost year, about 8 or 9 months or so, and we're continuing to work to improve it. We want the Kiwanis Family Store to be very similar to any kind of retail experience you would have online with an online retailer. And so we work to try to improve that. Certainly aren't where we want to be, firmly, there's still a lot to improve on, but we're working to make it a better experience day after day. And so we hope that you'll have noticed that as part of the experience there and the store. And we're excited to bring new items to everybody as part of that and really be able to help clubs market themselves out in the community and use those for club projects. And then finally, our third piece, we talked about a little bit about the Kiwanis website and going out and finding information. There's so much information that's used by clubs and districts and kind of their Kiwanis life. And a lot of that information's out on the Kiwanis.org website. But because there's so much information, sometimes it's hard to find. It's a balancing act to try to put enough information out there that the details that clubs need are readily available and folks can get to it, exactly when they need to. But sometimes it's almost like drinking from a fire hydrant. It's very hard to get the sip that you need from that flood of information as part of that. And so, a lot of times when you're looking for information online, whether it be Kiwanis's website or sites that might be that might inform your Kiwanis experience or whatnot, this is what you can see a lot of times is a lot of lost time in trying to find that. And so we can help you find that information as part of that. We interact with the website daily. We have a fairly good grasp of where information's listed. If it's not on the website, then we have information within our own records that we can provide as well. And so, one of the things I want everybody to take away that's joined us today is that, if you're looking for information and you can't find it within, a reasonable amount of time, 5 to 10 minutes of searching or whatnot, and you're just kind of banging your head on your desk or your table, I hope that you will reach out to member services at that point. Let us help you find that information or let us send it to you or whatnot. So, again, our responsibility is to help you do the important things of Kiwanis life. And some of those things the minutia of Kiwanis experience that you might need help on, let us help bear that burden for you, and we can help you find that information as well. So a lot of different things on the website that we can help with. And from an information standpoint, again, we talked about the website and navigating it. The Kiwanis website is, I think, improved quite a bit over the last 4 or 5 years from both a graphic standpoint and from how we post information, both from we try to make it simple, but also of value to members. And so again, we navigate this website all the time. We can help you try to find that information. So we hope that you will allow us to be a part of that resource to you. Obviously, if any of you have been club officers or your district officers as well, you're probably fairly familiar with Kiwanis Connect, which is the interface with the online interface with the Kiwanis database. And so Kiwanis Connect allows you to, as a club officer, to go in and affect changes to your club information. As a district officer, it allows you to go in and pull data for the district overall, so that you can help counsel clubs and oversee club activity or whatnot. But we're in Kiwanis Connect every day. We're helping Kiwanis leaders, we're helping SLP leaders use the Kiwanis Connect website. And so we have a fairly broad knowledge of that. And so if you have questions about how to do something on Kiwanis Connect, or where to find information, or just general questions about it, we're certainly there to help as part of that. So we hope that you'll reach out to us as well. And we'll get into that a little bit more as we go on within the conversation. So club opening, I know club opening is such a big emphasis both within Michigan and within our other districts that have joined us. And club opening has continued to thrive even within the pandemic period. Obviously, when the pandemic started in 2020, club opening efforts were impacted, just like our clubs were impacted. But the 2021 year, I'm glad to say that Kiwanis districts and club openers have really found creative ways to open new clubs and engage people in their communities to start new clubs. And so we're excited to be part of that process. Talked about Renee Booker. I know many of you probably have worked with Renee in the past. If you've opened a club, she's our individual that processes new Kiwanis club paperwork within the office. And so we're there to help answer questions about kind of the mechanics of getting a club started in the process that's utilized when you're getting them chartered with the organization. SLP clubs, obviously, many tout SLP as our youth clubs as the best thing that Kiwanis does. It's one of the things that differentiates us from other service organizations. So we have staff on hand that process new SLP clubs, and we can help answer those questions as well. The pandemic has really been a fraught time for SLP because schools have had such limitations on them. It's really impacted the ability for Key Club and Builders Club and K Kids and Circle K to a certain point, really impacted their abilities to be a fully functioning part of the organization. And Action Club's been the same way. Agencies have definitely had some limitations as well from health perspective. And we're hoping that as, again, the pandemic recedes more and more in our lives, that there'll be kind of a great re-energizing of SLPs. And so hopefully new clubs will come out of that as well. And we want you to know there's Kiwanis staff on hand to help you build those new clubs if you have questions about the process. So governance is always something that comes up, and the clubs can use assistance on, whether it's club bylaws or policies, or whether it's a district or even Kiwanis International bylaws questions. A lot of times those are written, if you don't have a legal background, sometimes they're written in a way that isn't necessarily completely clear or is somewhat vague. And so if you need help interpreting bylaws or figuring out maybe a situation that the bylaws are somewhat quiet on, we have staff, governance specialists that are available to help you try to determine those. Obviously, Robert's Rules of Order is kind of a subject in and of itself, and we have staff that are kind of versed in parliamentary procedure and can help answer those questions. A lot of times, there's not a lot of times, but sometimes there's conflict within clubs that the governance needs to speak to, whether it's conduct and becoming or how you deal with certain situations. And so those can kind of be time that's filled with anxiety. And again, we're there to help you try to interpret how to kind of move through those things. So it's an important aspect of what we can help with from an information standpoint. So we wanted to kind of talk about common questions that we get. And I'm hopeful this will kind of open the floor up to a dialogue about a couple of things. There's some, kind of some general things that we hear about all the time. And so we thought it was important to kind of address those in our conversation today. But our first common question that we get is, why can't I log into Kiwanis Connect, or why don't I see the appropriate access I'm supposed to have when I log in? And so, both of those questions are very common. Everybody should understand that when you log into Kiwanis Connect, anybody that's an active member of Kiwanis can log into Kiwanis Connect. And that's just at www.kiwanis.org/login. And you can log in. You'll be able to access the site, but depending on the role that you serve within your club, that will determine what you see when you log in to the site itself. And so to log in, you'll need to use the email address that Kiwanis International has on file for you on your membership record. So if you're an individual that has several email addresses, maybe one for work and one from home, or maybe you have a couple of different personal email addresses that you use for different things, you'll want to make sure that you log in, or you're using the login for the that we have on file for you. So now, if you don't know which one that is, then that's okay. You can reach out to member services and ask. You can ask your club secretary. They'll be able to see it as well. And if we need to change it for you, if you want us to change it to something else, then we can certainly do that for you. So just reach out to us and we can answer those questions for you and let you know which that is. But you'll need to use that email address to log in. That's the important part of it. You'll be asked for a password as well, and you can make that password whatever you want to use when you log in. It'll have some limitations on it, just like most websites will. You have to have an uppercase, a lowercase character, a numeric value, and a special character. But within kind of those that framework, then you can make that password whatever you'd like. But you want to make sure, again, that you're using that email address that you log in with as part of that. So maybe we can stop. I've talked quite a bit. Are there any questions in regards to logging into Kiwanis Connect, or the roles that you see, or anything I can address as part of that?
Bryce, one of the questions I have is, we have the Education Hub. Is the login for the Education Hub the same as Kiwanis Connect?
It's not. So the Education Hub that we use right now, I'm sure several of you are probably part of the Kiwanis Amplify that was launched within the last month or so, or some of you might be Lieutenant Governor elects that are utilizing the Lieutenant Governor training within your district. Those are both housed on a learning management system called Blue Sky. And that system is separate from Kiwanis Connect. It's not integrated in. There are some shared aspects of it. I think when your login is created for you, or was created for you for Amplifier training, was based upon your member ID number. And so some of that information is shared, but your login for those courses is separate than Kiwanis Connect. Now, our hope is to move towards a kind of more seamless login experience, and Kiwanis International will be undertaking implementation of a new Kiwanis database from our side of things in the next probably 18 months or so. And as part of that, there will be the possibility for integration between some of those separate systems. So right now it's kind of siloed. There are separate logins for those, but they are separate logins. The Kiwanis store also has a separate login as well, and so you'll kind of maintain different passwords. Like I think that's kind of become a part of our lives in general, is having different passwords. I normally can't. They tell you not to use the same password for every site, but then I don't remember the different passwords I set up for everything. But our hope is to move towards kind of a single sign-on aspect, so that as we improve, there's kind of a better 360 experience from your Kiwanis online interaction as part of that. So it's a good question though.
Great, thank you. I think that was what was confusing for me. For me at first was like, okay, which login do I use? And as you said, we all have, I have 4 different logins for work. It's just the way it is. You just accept it and move on. So.
And as we are able to do more and more online, password security is becoming such a big issue. You see obviously just within the last week with the pipeline information and stuff like that. While that wasn't specific to password security, obviously cybersecurity is a big thing, and so single sign-on can help with that, because you're not maintaining different systems as part of that. So your security on one system can be more robust, but we're always working to try to improve on that part of it. Other questions in regards to login or Kiwanis Connect? And I saw a question from CK in regards to how long we keep information for club members. Let me move into our second question, CK, and I think that'll segue directly into that question that you have. So our second kind of common question is, hey, you know what? I'm a volunteer. I'm doing this. A lot of times members have full careers that they're doing. They'll say, I'm a busy volunteer. Why do you make me do all these reports? Why do I have to submit all these reports on things? And we've really tried to move to a model over the last several years of first, when we have information that we're asking from clubs or districts, the question would be, what are we going to do with that data? Is there a reason why we're asking for that information? So, and there are a lot of different stakeholders. There are a lot of different groups within the Kiwanis world that use information differently. And so there are different reasons for why reports are important. Monthly reports, obviously that's kind of one of those other mainstays of Kiwanis life for clubs. And monthly reports can be used for lots of different things. Districts will often use them to gauge the health of clubs within their districts. A lot of times if clubs start to miss reports or aren't submitting reports, or their reports are somewhat scarce on information, sometimes that can be an indication that there's maybe an issue within the club. And so that helps the club counselor or lieutenant governor to reach out to the clubs and kind of maybe find out if there's anything going on that they can help with. And so those are important. Districts use them for recognition as well. Whether your club has an interclub, or whether your district has an interclub award, or they recognize clubs for specific recognition based upon the data they give in the reports. That information is used a lot of times by districts themselves. Kiwanis International has tried to gear those questions so that it provides us information on things that will directly benefit members and clubs. Partnership opportunities arise out of details that we get from monthly reports. I think Sue told me that on one of the online conversations that you all have had, there was a representative from one of our partners, Colonial Flags, and our ability to search out and enter into agreements with new partners directly corresponds to the feedback that we get from clubs on the different projects that they're doing, on the interests that they have. And so we glean a lot of information from you on monthly reports to help us figure out programs and benefits and partners that we can provide to clubs so that we can leverage the Kiwanis name for your benefit. And so we're very thankful for the club information that we get. It helps provide data from kind of determining that. Otherwise, we're just kind of shooting in the dark, trying to determine what we can do to help our clubs and our members. And so club election reports, so important right now. We ask that clubs submit their officers for the next year by June 1st. And so we're kind of right in the middle of that period of time. Clubs are having their elections right now. And so, we talked about the Kiwanis login and the access that you see being based upon the role. Well, if we don't have an officer listed correctly for a club, then they won't see that access they need to have. And so it's so important to make sure that that officers have been submitted. And if a club runs after June 1st, we're happy to take it after that. But it's certainly important to get it in by September 30th, or your new officers that are taking over might not be able to access everything that they need to. And we can get that fixed, but it just introduces delay into the process as part of that.
Bryce, if I may add, one of the reasons for the reports as well is that the Kiwanis International uses the data. So we submit how many volunteers we have or how many hours of service we have. Kiwanis International uses that data to share with other organizations. And I specifically know when I served as the president, when we went to UNICEF and USAID and testified in front of the state or the US government to say that Kiwanis provides, X number of hours of service a year, and this is the value of that service. And, we know how many members of, or how many hours of service a member does, but that information was very helpful when Kiwanis is going after funding or grants from governments and agencies, and also as a way to promote, who we are and what we do to show the impact that we have as Kiwanians around the world.
It's a great point and a very unique perspective on it, obviously, from your position. But yeah, that data again gives us, again, many partners or many individual organizations that we have relationships. We can tell them statistics and metrics as part of that, but it all, to arrive at that data, we have to receive the input from our members, and that goes towards feedback as well. That's how the organization is furthered, is by hearing from its constituent members and knowing what's going on within their clubs, what they're experiencing, things like that. And so it's really, those reports are a way to dialogue between us. I think that's a good way to look at it, is it's a conversation. That's how we receive, information. We certainly have personal conversations as well, but it is a good way for clubs to kind of converse with us about what's going on also. And then member reports, your member roster. This kind of leads to what the question that CK mentioned, getting an accurate understanding of what club rosters look like. Obviously, if you have new members, if a club is not timely in adding those new members, they're not getting communications, they're not getting their magazine, they're not, they're maybe not as able to engage in the Kiwanis experience as before. So, there's obviously insurance aspects to that as well. And so it's important that we receive accurate information for members, especially as it comes to billing time. And for clubs to submit billings, one of the things that we're challenged with the most is clubs receive a bill for members that maybe have left the club, and it's simply because they weren't able to report individuals that have left. We don't ever want clubs to pay for individuals that they don't have on their member rolls, and so keeping an accurate membership roster is certainly an important aspect of that. And so we've tried to improve the ways that you can interact with your member records throughout the years, and a lot of that self-service. You can do it at whatever time or however you want. And so we've tried to make that aspect of it available to you. So CK, you asked how long we keep former member information for club members. Our digital records go back to around 96 or 97. Kiwanis made the jump to digital records probably in 92 or 93, and we've had some different databases during that time, but records, I would say the earliest I've seen go back to about 96 or 97. And so there is the ability for you to pull a former member list from your Kiwanis roster online if you're a club secretary or president. It'll show you that you can download a copy of former members, and that list will show you the reason why the individual left, if that was indicated when the club deleted the member. But if you're trying to re-engage with members that were part of your club before and you want that list, you can pull that list. If it doesn't look complete enough, you can certainly reach out to member services as well, and we can try to provide you a full data dump from the database of former members within your club. And so lots of information we can provide as part of that. So are there other questions about reports or online? Jerry, you had a question? Nope, I think you're muted. Oh, there you go.
Okay, right. Regarding monthly reports as club secretary, and I've talked with you on many occasions, in our division, there are a goodly number of clubs that are submitting, like they're mainly talking about the monthly report to international, waiting to the last minute to do that, like deciding on the 9th of the month that they are supposed to get the report in by the 10th of the month. I think there's an easy way to do that, but sometimes to change their minds is hard. At our club, what we've done, the committee chairs that are in charge of certain sections, accumulating service hours, et cetera, we ask that they submit those to myself, because I'm secretary, as soon as the project is finished. And we accumulate all those hours during the month. So at the end of the month, when we're ready to submit the monthly report, we have approximately 80 to 90% of the information. And we only need a couple of more replies coming back. And therefore, we're able to submit our report by the 4th or 5th of the month when it's due by the 10th of the month. And I think clubs should be doing that, but I know sometimes the secretaries do not do that. And I've spoken with the secretaries of a number of clubs in our division. And they said to me, that's a good idea, but they said sometimes the members don't submit it when they ask for it. Well, then I said, it's very simple. Give them a phone call, tell them they're in charge of that, and ask them to submit it to you. If they're not doing their job, they shouldn't be in that position, then, in my opinion.
Well, we experience the same thing from the Kiwanis side. I think we always, when we're asking for information, maybe it's at a district level or an international level, there's kind of several rounds of asks that you have to send out to get that same information. And I think somewhat part of it's human nature. I think I do think that we have improved the monthly report experience in the last 2 years. Prior to the current version of the monthly report, which we redesigned and kind of streamlined a little bit within the last 2 years, we probably had a 30% completion rate for monthly reports, which is, awful. That's obviously not giving us a good percentage or a good outlook on, what the full Kiwanis experience is. With some of the changes that we've instituted, we're more towards 60 or 63% in completion. And so I think part of that has to do with, a report that's maybe easier to do and has questions that are more relevant to clubs, but no doubt it also has to do with the commitment that you and others within the areas are giving to kind of prompt clubs to doing that. So we know that people are busy, and to take time to go and fill out a 4-page report about their clubs can seem fairly unimportant in the scheme of things, but we really appreciate everybody that works to try to motivate clubs to get that information in, because it will help us to serve clubs better.
Right.
Bryce, I'm also the club secretary for my club, and one of the things I have done is developed a Google form where I make that available to everyone on the club and say, okay, if you have information, just submit it here, and it gathers it, of course, all together. And specifically, our community service chair no specific questions that I'm going to ask, how many members, how many non-members, how many SLP. And, I asked her to have it done by the 5th or 6th of the month as well. And then I just dump that data in, but I make it a point every week after every meeting to go in and put in, okay, this is our club meeting. This is how many guests we had. This is how many members were in attendance, so that I'm not getting to the end of the month going, okay, we met on Monday. How many people were there? So I put as much information as I can. So by the time I'm, maybe the 9th or the 10th that I'm submitting it, but 90% of the information is already in.
Yeah. I think there's lots of ways that we can kind of motivate clubs. I know there are districts that tie their recognition to completion, timely completion of their monthly reports and things like that. And so, I think working together, we'll figure out some way to get, I don't necessarily want to call it compliance, but, better buy-in from clubs as part of that. I think there's a responsibility on International's part to, if there's data that we've already collected, to be able to natively have that come across to the monthly report, so that, because that's what frustrates people sometimes the most is, hey, I answered this question in another channel. Why do I have to answer it again in the monthly report? We need to be able to have systems that kind of integrate that information so that we're getting it organically as part of that. So lots of different ways we can improve and that we hope to improve. But again, we're grateful for, the 63% of clubs that do take the time to do that. And obviously, as everybody's indicated, there's a lot of work going in the days leading up to getting your report in that's being done to get
and that is a
in.
great
So
percentage.
we're appreciative of it. Yeah.
63% is actually
it's better than 30.
It's better than 30. I mean, it's a good number.
Closer to where we want to be.
Right.
Again, we've got a ways to go. So
Bryce, I want to add something to what Sue
Sure.
was saying. Having forms available to submit to the people so they can accumulate that information. As an advisor for 6 key clubs, the key club secretary has an enormous job, probably 3 times that of a Kiwanian, to track service hours. And every month they're required to submit an MRF form to the district of all they do. And the thing is, they normally, in our division 3 North, most of them get that in by the 1st of the month, even though it's due by the 5th of the month. And the reason they do that is because they have a form, the MRF doesn't require, but they accumulate information on a daily basis of everything they do. And that's filled out on a daily basis. And so at the end of the month, they have all of the information there. And I can tell you, talking with the presidents of those clubs, if the secretary is not doing that, the president of that key club is right on that person's back. And in our division, everything is submitted by the 1st of the month in most of our clubs, and they maintain that. So keeping track of that with a record or a form like Sue was mentioning is important. I think Kiwanis clubs can do the same thing, because don't forget, the key clubbers, besides doing that, are involved with service projects. They have their homework, they have their schoolwork. So they have more time that is devoted to this than we do. I mean, in a sense, they are doing more than we are.
Yep.
So
I was going to make that same point, is that, just like in a lot of areas that have happened, Kiwanis can really kind of take a cue from our SLP clubs as part of that. And you're right. They're no less busy or no less free than Kiwanis members are as part of that, right. And sometimes less so.
Yes.
And I think it's just a way of being disciplined about it and doing that. And also, again, seeing the value of it. If a club officer doesn't, they're just like, this information is going into a black hole and nothing's being done with it, I probably wouldn't feel real invested in filling that information out either. So, it's incumbent upon us to kind of get across that value more, and to let members know, let them see, oh, here's the outcome of some of those things. So again, right. Haven't arrived yet, but we're always trying to continue.
Yeah, those kids are amazing.
Yeah. So I did want to move to question number 3, and this kind of lead into a topic that we might have multiple questions on, but one of the common questions that we get is, what do I need to pay when I submit a new member for my Kiwanis club? And so, and currently the way that it's set up is Kiwanis International has a flat new member fee for clubs in North America that's $50. And then your districts will have a new member fee as well. And maybe that's a flat amount, or maybe it's a graduated amount, depending on the month that they come in. But that's currently the way it is. And that's led to some confusion for some. We've had different methods that we've collected new member fees over the past 10 years or so. It's kind of gone back and forth amongst different kind of methods as part of that. But that's led to some confusion. And also one of the impacts of that is that because that amount's not necessarily relative to when the new member joins, a lot of times you have members in June, July, August, and September that pay, a substantial amount to join the club, and then they're billed for annual dues as part of your general membership at the start of the year. Right. And so to address that, the Kiwanis International Board undertook a procedure to simplify dues that was decided in October of 2019, and it will become effective coming soon. And so paying for a new member is going to get easier for clubs to do. Kiwanis International, beginning October 1 of 2021, will move to a prorated dues for new member structure itself. You're going to hear more about this in the upcoming months and through the summer. We're going to provide communications and resources to clubs in trying to determine what this is going to be. But the kind of the thinking of a new member fee is going to be eliminated, and it's going to be replaced by simply paying a prorated portion of Kiwanis International and district dues and fees when a new member joins the organization. And so we hope that this will simplify the process somewhat. It will be based on basically decreasing the amount of dues for international in the district by 1/12 each month as you go through the Kiwanis calendar from October to September. And what that will mean is that, obviously an individual that's joining October, November, even December, they're going to pay, comparatively for, that full year, they're going to pay a comparative amount for that period of time. It's going to be closer to what an existing member would pay. But where the real benefit's going to be is in June and July and August and September. That new member is going to pay much less during that period of time because they have less amount of time within the Kiwanis year to realize the effect of that fee itself. And so somebody joining in that time is only going to pay 8/12 or 10/12 of that amount as part of that. And so we think that will benefit clubs in membership drives and inducting or recruiting members in the latter months of the year. Certainly, I think we're all probably familiar enough with Kiwanis that anything that's tied to a date leaves open the possibility for clubs to try to work within those time frames and maybe hold on to information or get information in to try to have an advantage by those periods of times. Probably never going to get away from that, but we do think that this is more of a clear, when you're going out and recruiting members, probably a lot easier in their minds to understand, oh, I've got 4 months left within the year. It makes sense that I'm going to pay 8/12 of the amount that a normal member would pay. That's probably a lot easier to explain to new members as part of that. And so we hope that that's going to improve the ability for clubs to induct members, and it'll make it simpler for part of that. So we're going to send more communications out to club and district leaders over the summer. We'll have more resources. We'll try to help with the math there. If you're anything like me, math's not a particular strong suit. I'm so thankful for Excel all the time because it does so much of the math that I need to try to do. I can just plug those numbers in, but we're going to try to provide details about kind of what those percentages are and things like that. And of course, you can always reach out to member services and we'll be happy to help answer those questions. But I do want to kind of open the floor up. Are there questions in regards to the prorated dues? Again, we'll be sending out more information over the summer, but we wanted to kind of give you a preview of this to to kind of start wrapping your heads around a little bit. Are there any questions I can help with?
I think that's an excellent decision.
We hope so. Again, it's been a piece of feedback that we've received from clubs for some time. I think it makes sense to a lot of clubs. Certainly, there's the aspect of clubs who have added people in October or November and maybe have held on to individuals so that they can maximize the amount that those individuals are paying. That will be a little disadvantageous, but I think the benefit in the latter part of the year will at least offset that, if not outweigh it completely. And so we're hopeful that it will be well received as part of that. I think just the learning curve will be where people have anxiety about it, hopefully.
And Bryce, we will continue to pay our dues through Kiwanis International as the district submits that information to us as well.
Correct. So when we collect annual dues from a Kiwanis club, or when you pay a new member fee to Kiwanis for a new member, we collect, there's two components to either of there's an international amount and a district amount. Probably most of you are familiar with that. We collect the full amount and then we distribute the district's amount to them as part of that. That'll be no different. Districts still are the ones to determine their district dues amounts based upon their House of Delegates. And so we're not saying, this has to be your district amount. We are setting the schedule. So, the district will tell us this is our dues amount for the year, and then the schedule will decrease based upon what we've established already. So nothing from that part will change. And it's an important thing as well is that this doesn't determine how a club collects its dues amounts or its induction fees from a member, or what schedule they do it on. If your club collects quarterly and they, have it based upon a certain amount, maybe you don't prorate an amount, within your district or within your club, you're not required to do that. You just want to be cognitive of cognizant of the fact that that you need to account for that amount in what Kiwanis International will bill you for new members. And so that's no different from what you do now. There are a lot of clubs that they have a new member come in mid-year, they charge them the full amount of dues. And so if they want to, they can still do that. It's just going to be that the amount that KI is going to bill is going to be different based upon that prorated amount itself. So both important points. And again, this isn't the only piece of information you'll get on it. You'll get more details as we go through. We've been working on a communication plan to get that out to clubs. We want them to be as clear about it as possible when it starts in October 1st. So CK asked a question about, are staff back at work in the office now, or some of the staff still working from home? Most staff, I would say, are still working remote. We do have the ability as vaccinations continue to rise and restrictions subside somewhat. We do have the ability to come back into the office, but I'm sure most of you have experienced, if you're in the workforce or just even with your club experience, once people have learned that they can do things from home effectively and productively, and they're given the opportunity to do that, it's kind of shifted the way I think that we all look at the way we work. So staff are still, most staff are still working remotely. There are some of us like myself who feel more productive and kind of need that routine of being back in the office. And so we're back in the office. Yeah. You can see I'm currently sitting outside under a tree, it looks like. So, whether we're working from home or whether we're working at the office, we're still committed to providing you the same responsiveness as before the pandemic started. So we don't see any kind of difference. We're committed to, from a technology standpoint, making sure that we can support you in the fullest way possible. And so even if our current model changes and more people are working from home or within the office, we hope that you won't experience any kind of different support from that. So
yeah, I think this is going to become the trend for the future. We have one member that's been working for his home since the pandemic started. The company will not allow them back in because of the virus. And he told me that when everything returns to normal, their company is going to have them partially work from home, partially work from the office. And I believe this is going to become a trend in the United States for a lot of companies.
There's a lot of logistical and overhead reasons why remote work is helpful. And so, if we can work productively, if we can still support our members, but we can also that helps us be good stewards of the dollars that members, provide in dues and things like that.
Right.
We're going to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
So,
and his wife is really happy about that because he gets
I bet. Are there other questions about the proration? Again, I know it's just a small kind of glimpse of what's going to happen there, but I do want to answer any questions immediately that come up. I think we're almost out of time, but maybe one last question, or is anybody?
I just like to make a comment, Bryce. I've now worked with you, I think, for 10, 15 years. And I just want to mention to everyone here that Bryce has been most helpful to me and our club over the past 10 to 15 years in getting everything to us that we needed immediately and on time, and has helped us go to areas within the monthly report to get information and everything. So I think he's provided exceptional service. And I think Kiwanis is very fortunate to have him with member services.
Well, I appreciate that, Jerry. Those are very kind words. Again, if we aren't supporting members from member services, if we're not answering questions and helping you, then we're really not fulfilling our responsibility. So we hope, I've got our contact information there. We hope that you'll reach out to us in a couple of different ways. You can definitely call us. You're not bothering us one iota when you call us. Just call us at the number extension 411. You can email us if you have questions. We're happy to help that way. And then when you're logged into Kiwanis Connect, there'll be a little message bubble in the lower right-hand corner that you can open up and send a message to us that way. It's not a real-time chat necessarily, but it is a way for you to contact us while you're right on a page that you have questions on. And we strive to get a pretty quick turnaround response on that, 24 to 48 hours. If you ever have an issue where you're not seeing responsiveness from our team, I hope that you'll reach out and let us know. I count all feedback as good, whether it's constructive criticism or it's kind words. We want to hear it all because that's how we improve, and that's what we're committed to doing. So I appreciate the time. Unless there's other questions, I'm very appreciative of you inviting me today, and I hope that you'll reach out to us if there's anything we can help you with.
Bryce, I assume that the meeting going forward each month, we can still join at 7 rather than, it'll still be 2 sessions.
Sue, looks
Yes,
like Sue
correct.
says yes.
Yes, Jerry. The program is offered at 9 and at 10 at Michigan time. And it's the third Saturday of every month.
Right.
So you can still join at 10 o'clock, and it'll be the same. We typically do the same program at both times.
Yeah.
So that people can catch either one. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll come on 7 o'clock. That's great. Thank you, Sue.
You're welcome. And it's the same login. So Bryce,
Yes.
I do want to thank you for joining us this morning. We have recorded this session, or are recording it, and we'll make it available to others. We do have Bryce coming on for those of you that join us on Thursday evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, a much better time for those in our West Coast. He will be joining us in July to repeat this program, but we wanted to make sure we have this available. It will be we'll eventually put this up on the Michigan District of Kiwanis YouTube channel, which is available off of the Michigan District of Kiwanis webpage. We actually have just redone our website, Bryce, just redone it.
You guys have the new Kiwanis WordPress site, it looked like.
Yes,
so
the
very,
new Kiwanis
very
WordPress
nice.
site. Yes, we just finally got that.
Terrific.
I want to tell you that we hired a Circle K member to do it because we just didn't have,
Sure.
people that can handle it for us. So she did an amazing job and is still supporting us to continue that going. But we want to make sure that we offer this information out. You're welcome to show this or share this however you want to. And Bryce, I just want to thank you for all that you've done. I know that you're my main contact for member services, and whether it's an email or a phone call,
Right.
Bryce is right on top of things. And I think that when our members realize that member services is there for the member, they realize that there's a lot of support there that can help them get through, the workings of a Kiwanis club. So
exactly right. We appreciate you. Without the work that you all are doing, we there's no point in our our existence.
Right, and I say that working for
Staff
university.
wise, so
Working
Yep,
for
so-
university, if there's no students, there's nobody working for a university, right?
So we're
So-
very appreciative of all of you.
So, well, wonderful, Bryce. Jerry, thank you for joining us. Linda, CK, I know Elaine was with us. We got a few other people.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. We'll make sure this is available to everyone, and I wish you all a great weekend. So thank you very
Yeah,
much.
I enjoyed being
Bye-bye.
here today, and I look forward to the upcoming sessions.
Thank you, Jerry.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
All right, bye-bye.
One.
Bye.